I'm here because I am a roaring lion crying out righteousness. What I want to do, in light of the fact that there was a shooting on Saturday up in Buffalo, New York, with this 18-year-old who wrote a 180-page manifesto at 18 years old and went into the top supermarket up there in Buffalo and killed 10 very precious people and wounded 3 others. This is so tragic that it has taken place. And most people are mourning over this, and I certainly mourn over the matter as well. But what I'd like to do today is that because there's been a lot of talk about, the, if you will, white supremacists and replacement race theory, and it's all over the news now. They're talking more about that than they are the dead people that have died or people, et cetera. I want to say something here today, and I want to label this for people keeping tabs on the structure of the things we say as a political strategy, that there is a political strategy to replace the Sons of the Confederacy. Now, it's generally Southern and right-wing Christians, and some sons and daughters of the American Revolution as well. There is a strategy to replace them, and that strategy is true and ongoing. And I want to go ahead. I want to say that I was raised up barefoot in North Carolina, and I worked on the chain gang in Florida, near Jacksonville, Florida, and I've lived in New York for 40 years. I want to tell you what you hear people saying, and you can call them white supremacists. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm not for white supremacy. I'm not for black supremacy. There's a black supremacy, but that don't get the kind of, excoriation that so-called white supremacy does. Yeah, there's black supremacy. You don't believe it? Just listen to people like Al Sharpton. No, that's black supremacy. It just don't get the excoriation. But I'm not for black supremacy or white supremacy. But I have to tell you, there is a strategy that is alive and well in America to replace white people in America with minorities. There's a strategy. And right now, Joe Biden, my time Biden, is going to get rid of Title 42, rather. And hordes of Latinos, people from as far away as Haiti and other countries coming across the Mexican border, even people coming from Ukraine, coming into America as minorities. And it's the leftists and the Democrats. Their strategy is to replace white America with brown and black skin America. You say, well, Pastor, what's wrong with that? You're supposed to be for that. You brown skin yourself. Just wait a minute, would you please? Wait a minute. I'm not for injustice. Let me say that. I'm not for injustice anywhere. So don't think just because I have a skin color, I run with people who got the same skin color. I'm not. I have more integrity than that. I want to push back on anybody who says that there is not a plan by a segment of America to replace white people, mainly the Sons of the Confederacy, to some degree the Sons of the American Revolution, and the Mayflower. That's a conspiracy. It's a strategy, and I'm going to try to outline it here as best I possibly can today. But one of the things I need to say is that, they excoriating Fox News. Now, I have a lot of problem with Fox News. I got a whole lot of stuff against Fox News. I do. And even Tucker Carlson, I've got my thing with him. But let me say something. Not everything that they're saying on Fox is wrong or racist in that regard, except to defend against what Tucker Carlson is doing. And by the way, I'm not a white supremacist. I'm not for white supremacy. I'm not for black supremacy. Let's get that straight. I'm an American. I love America. God bless America. All right? Let's get that straight. By the way, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat or whatever, the independent, whatever that means. I have no idea. I'm the Lord's servant. But I have to tell you that Rupert Murdoch and Fox News recognize that theirs, along with OAN and some of the other broadcast networks, have to be in place. Otherwise, these leftist Democrats are going to run over white America like a bulldozer. Now, you know, somebody black hear me say that. What wrong with him? Lord, he black man. We black people been surfing long. And he gonna get up there now and talk about that. He defending white people. He defending the Ku Klux Klan. Somebody like that. No point in talking to him. I've already explained to you that I'm not for white supremacy, but I'm not for injustice either. And I'm just telling the truth. I'm not for black supremacy. And I'm not for injustice against black folk either. I'm not. I'm just telling the truth. This thing that's being told by Fox News, Tucker Carlson, and expressed by that young boy who killed those people up there in Buffalo, that there is a replacement ideology going on in America and it needs to be dealt with. It needs to be dealt with. But I'm not black or white. I'm fully red-blooded American, and I ain't not joining either one of them. Both the white supremacists and the black supremacists would probably consider me an enemy. I'm just teaching the truth. But there's a strategy to fill the American government offices and centers with black people or brown and black people, and thusly control the levers of power all across America. And not just in the government, but in media and entertainment. They want an educational. For instance, you look at a place like Princeton University, and there are a whole lot of people out there. But like this fellow, Eddie Gloyd, right? He's a African-American study professor at Princeton University. And they put him up there, not because he's brilliant. They put him up there so he can indoctrinate more blacks, if you will, and give some shield and cover to the white people who want to replace white people, the leftist white people who want to replace, so-called right-wing white people. So they use him. They put him up there as a mascot. And he gets up there, and I think he's also, I don't know if he's LGBTQ or not, but they use him. They don't love him. And they use him because then he gets out there and says, ooh, got a black man on television. Ooh, got a black man. Ooh, we got a black man, a professor at Princeton University, a black man. So that emboldens black people. And then he gets up there and he pontificates all kind of African stuff. A lot of people say, Pastor man, you're always beating up on a black man. I'm just telling them the truth. You can think it's beating up if you want. I'm just telling them the truth. And by the way, I'm speaking the truth because I love him. Because he been hijacked, bamboozled, shanghaied by a lot of these leftist Democrat white people who are just using him. And you got people like Eddie Gloyd, and you got the entertainment industry and the educational powers that they teach minorities. If you watch MSNBC or Fox News or read, some of these liberal, they will teach you how to, if you are brown or black, they'll teach you how to hate right-wing white people. They'll teach you, and you'll grow up, and this hatred will be inculcated into you. You don't even realize why you hate them. And so the theory to remove their status in America is something similar to what happened in the Civil War going back over a century ago, a century and a half ago now, that there was a division in the ideologies of white America, and it was dividing. But, the liberalism that you have on the left, fueled by, I have said this more than once, and I heard it said by when I was a good Baptist preacher, and these are during the days when John McCain was opposing and Arizona was the only state that did not agree initially to make Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday a holiday. That's how far I go back. And I was a member of a great Baptist body or a large body of Baptist preachers here in New York at the time. And many of those old and staid Baptist preachers would get up and say, and even because they weren't like, I mean, they were worshiping Dr. King after he died, but they said, no black leader gets anywhere until somebody white lays their hands on them and makes sort of like a kingmaker. But the liberals and the left, they fuel this whole business of just automatic wake up in the morning and hate white folk with people like Al Sharpton. I mean, you got to ask yourself a question. Whatever you may think about me, you may think I'm a Looney Tune. You may think I'm a coon. You may think I'm Uncle Tom. You may think I'm Uncle Ruckus. You may think any of those things. You go ahead, if it makes you happy. But you got to ask yourself, what the hell? Why are they using Al Sharpton to promote blackness? And all he does is fester racism. I mean, well, you say, well, Pastor Man, that's why they use him, because he's good at it. Okay. You get no argument out of me. The man is good at festering racism. And one of the man's a former unrepentant drug dealer. And he's on television. He has no education. He can't read a teleprompter. It was on the size of a barn. Yet he's on television. He's down at the White House. Joe Biden comes to kiss his ring. Nancy Pelosi wants to date him and take him out to dinner. What is this all about? He's good for stirring up hatred among black people towards white people. He is excellent race baiter. He's good at it. He's good at it. And that's why they use him. He's as dumb as a doorknob. I doubt he knows how to sign his own paycheck. But he's good at stirring up racism. And a few years ago, you had Oprah Winfrey, too, out there. Had her out there. Then they brought on Obama. Y'all saw Oprah everywhere. You look at Oprah Winfrey, won't get married, ain't going to get married, talking about she got a friend. And then Obama. So while, I have issues with Fox News. I got issues with all of them, quite frankly. But I have to tell you that there is a real and an imminent and a present threat to white people who subscribe to a right-wing, politically Republican, if you must, ideology about and Christianity or biblical theological beliefs. There is a clear and imminent threat to annihilate, to replace. Now, I know people looking at me with my brown skin or whatever. I'm a Hamite, by the way. Let me tell you that. Black or white, I'm a Hamite. People looking at me and say, that man is crazy. And I can understand it. Listen, if you were dyed in the wool, black people raised on black racism, civil rights, a white man's ice is colder than your ice, white man did you wrong. It'll take you another 35 to 40, 50 years to try to understand what I'm talking about. I understand that, but I'm not going to not say it because you don't understand it. I'm not going to not say it because you don't understand it. But white people are under threat in America. That's right. They're under. Let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way. This might accelerate your ability to understand this. There's a thing in America, in Harlem in particular, where I'm at, called gentrification. Ever heard that before? You never heard? Let me tell you what it is. Gentrification is where a group of white folk with money, all liberals too, by the way, with money, influence in politics, in banking, in Wall Street, in entertainment, and in degrees, these white folk move into a black community where you got poor black folk, down there they're Hamites, move in their community, gently, well, I don't know if gently is the better word, but over a short period of time, move the black folk out of their homes, out of their apartments, out of their dwelling places that they've lived in for years in Harlem, and move them into shelter. And the white people move into where the black people live. They call it gentrification. It's going on up here in Harlem for the last 25 years or longer. And in the homes that where black people were living in were large, spacious homes with 20-foot ceiling and 20-foot room sizes and staircases and fireplaces and bathrooms and backyards. These tenement buildings, you see them on television, if you don't know much about brownstones, beautiful places that just weren't fixed up. They were run down, dilapidated, rat and roach infested. But white people, liberals, leftists, Democrats, got together with people like Al Sharpton, paid Al Sharpton $800,000 to never lead a march against gentrification here in Harlem. And then they slowly, then surely, they moved up here 30, 40,000 white people strong and pushed black people into shelters or into the grave or back down to South Carolina. It's replacement. It is the replacement of black people in what used to be a black community. And these same leftists, these same Democrats, these same Al Sharpton, these same Oprah Winfrey, these same Obamas, these same Van Jones, these same rappers are now in cahoots with replacing white people, pushing white people out of America, pushing them into graves or pushing them into the sea and replacing them with brown and black people. And amen, and boom, shakalaka goes right there. No, it's true. It's true. We need to be mindful of it. And I'm here to say it. The other thing is, I said people, because you're black, you're supposed to hang out with black folk. You're supposed to. And I want to keep saying as well, I don't hate black people. I just tell them the truth, and they hate to hear it. I've said that already. But the truth needs to be told. You say, well, you must be a Republican or something. I'm not a Republican. Whatever that means. I tell you what, if I had to choose a political party, and only was on two, and I had to make a choice between Republican and Democrat, I'd be a Republican, but I'm not. But I think the other thing that we need to be mindful of is there's a lot of excoriation of people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? And some others that are in Congress, and actually Congresswomen, you know the names of them, you know who they are. There's a lot of excoriation on the liberal media, pardon me, CNN and everybody else, excoriating them. In fact, they tried to get Marjorie Taylor Greene's, her district down there in Georgia, they tried to get the court to disallow her to be able to run again. She beat the living daylight out of her. She's going to run again. And I don't go along with everything Marjorie Taylor Greene says. Now, I don't, but I have to tell you, she's got a cause. She understands replacement. She understands. And, she hasn't taken up a gun like the young boy up there in Buffalo, or the fella did down there in El Paso going back a couple of years ago, or the Tree of Life Synagogue some time ago. These young boys, they're being listened to what I'm saying. And by the way, anybody listen to me, don't do it. I don't condone violence. Let me just say it. I don't condone violence. I don't get out there, say, well, Pastor man up there in Harlem, there's a black man up there who got enough sense to realize and will tell the truth. Well, listen, Al Sharpton knows about replacement too. He knows that. He knows there's an effort to replace white people. He knows that. Just like he knows there's an effort to replace black people in Harlem and Fort Greene and in the Southwest Washington, Northwest Washington, and other places around America. There's a theory of a replacement of black people by white people in their own communities. Tearing down churches, that's right. Tearing down monuments and statues and historical that belong. I was against tearing down the statues. They took it down, one down in New Orleans of Robert E. Lee. If I get a chance, I'm putting it back up. That's right. That's right. It's wrong. In Harlem, they're up here tearing down churches and putting up bars and hurdy-gurdy houses. I mean, and they want to tear our church down too, by the way, which has got me all excited about, but they're not excited because I'm enthusiastic, but No, there is a replacement. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. You listen to these people like, Jim Clyburn, Nancy Pelosi, and all the rest of them, these blackface. And they got, in every city now, they got a black mayor. In every city. And as soon as they got power and they've destroyed the Republican Party, and how many times I'm going to take it. Let me say something to y'all. Houston mayor, a black mayor in Houston, black mayor in Baltimore, black mayor in Washington, D.C., black mayor in Richmond, Virginia, black mayor here in New York City, black mayor in mayor in San Francisco, black mayor in Chicago, Illinois, and other places. I'll tell you something. Listen to the preacher. They're just window dressing. They are there, put there by white money like George Soros and others, just to keep black folk on the team because if the Republicans did get their act together and started reaching out, I think they tried to do it after the Ronald Reagan tried to encourage the Republican Party to be a big attempt to try to reach out to more black people and try to get black people and Latinos to become Republican. And somehow the Republicans stopped doing that, and now they find themselves in a crisis. The Republicans are not recruiting actively as they ought to in black and brown communities. They should, but it's too late now for that. That's gone. That's washed under the bridge. That's water under the bridge. But the whole matter of all these black mayors, the moment that these leftist, liberal, white people have control of America, and there ain't no way you can get 5 Republicans to vote about anything, you won't see nobody black in public office nowhere. Hell, they may get rid of the black basketball players because they don't need them. They don't need them. They don't need them. They wouldn't need them there. They need them now to keep all black people magnetized towards the liberals, towards the left, towards the LGBTQ. But if they ever reach the point where Republicans are at a point where they have been handily defeated and can't no way they can get a Republican elected, they're going to throw these black people to the curb so quick, it's going to make that nappy head go straight. They're going to make that black hair go blonde. Y'all said they will. You wait. No, they don't. Listen, these liberal leftists, they're not in love with black people. And then you got, so they say, Marjorie Taylor Greene. And that she's so awful. Why? What about this woman over here from New York called Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? What about her? And a bunch of other women that she runs with. What about them? They dressed them all up like they're saints. Oh, yes. But, so you have to understand the balance and understand the truth. But I would think a lot of people say, Pastor Manny, you don't talk like, black man. But we black people got to stick together, Pastor Manny. Church mother said to me years ago, we black people got to stick together. I mean, if y'all on your way to hell and poverty and ain't never built nothing, I don't know if I want to stick with you. Anyway, listen, I have to wrap this up. I'm not through. And also, I have to let you know that I made a statement on Twitter today and Facebook that I will be covering the coming food shortage. There is a food shortage. You listen to me. There's a food shortage and a global economic crisis coming to America like you ain't never seen before. It's coming. It's coming. You need to get ready now. You have a few months to try to get your stuff together, but not much longer than that. And if this COVID-19 jumps off the way I think it's going to jump off as a result of the medical treatments and people taking off their masks and also at the same time inflation. Now, I'm going to cover that decently, but I don't have time today. I've got some other things to do. But I want to tell you about this. This gift was given to us by Sister Charlene Humphrey from down in Fairmount, North Carolina, my stomping grounds. And I'm going to talk about that in my next segment. I got a segment coming up talking about when I was a sharecropper's son. And she's given us a whole bunch of beautiful stuff. The woman is just absolutely beautiful. Lord have mercy. I've been pastor for 40 years, and I've had people give a lot of gifts. I have people give me brand new cars. I mean, there are people that give them $50,000 gifts, to the church. I've had people do this, but we have, in 40 years, we've never received anything like what this woman is doing for us. But the other thing is that we are in a foreclosure proceeding called a replacement of James David Manning and the ATLAH Church with the LGBTQ community. They want to put us out and replace us with the LGBTQ. And they've leveled a $3.1 million foreclosure bill against us, and they're going to auction off our church if we can't stop them in court. So we're asking people to give, and I'm asking you to give as well. I'll come back to that. I have more time for that. I'm going to ask the engineer to take me out of this, and then I'm going to be talking about my being a sharecropper's son. But listen to me. There is an attempt to redesign America and make it liberal white and black and brown, and get rid of Christian white or Republican whites or right whites. It's real. And I don't know if it's going to be stopped short of a civil war. I'm not advocating for a civil war. I'm not advocating for that. But little I know about history, I don't see this thing getting turned around anytime soon. I'm James David Manning, everybody. I'm the Lord's servant. Let me just say this. I don't have a dog in this fight. I'm not a Democrat. Definitely ain't that. I'm not a Republican. Sure enough, stomped on ain't that. I'm not a liberal. Ain't gonna never be. And I'm not a conservative. I'm not that. I'm not a red boy or a blue boy. I'm the Lord's servant. Listen, I'm not here in support of Joe Biden and Camelback ain't Black Harris. The last thing on the planet Earth would be I'd be supporting them. I'm not. I don't have anything kind to say about them. I'm not here in support of Trump or any of the Trump supporters. I'm the Lord's servant. I ain't on nobody's side. I'm on the Lord's side. Let's be clear. All right, they'll be calling me a Biden supporter, and I done flipped the wig and this, that, and the other. I did endorse Trump. I'll admit that I did, but not now.